Hello and welcome to the DCG development update. We are here with the core, the platform, and the mobile teams to give you an update of what happened in the past 2 weeks. We are planning this session for a 60-minute session, and we will have a dedicated Q&A session at the very end. So please use a Q or a question prefix so we will know that it is intended to the Q&A session. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Sam, would you kick us off?
Sure.
Let me find the share button and we're good to go.
Okay, so our focus was on many different things in the last 2 weeks. Version 2.0 touch-ups, a lot of work on Dash Evo tool, and work on SDKs as well. So yeah, SDK work is kind of new, so I'll kind of explain that once we've gone through everything else. Paul, Lucas, and me on tokens. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We can go for it. People can read. What's the plan? So the current plan as it sits is we're going to do community testing until the 17th, so a week from now. And then we'll release to mainnet on the 18th of June if nothing is discovered. We were not 100% sure like what date was the right one. We consulted with other people, and basically the 17th seems like an okay day to go for it at this point. So what have we discovered so far for platform? One big issue was that if you made a token with a direct purchase, if you are also the seller, causes a mismatch of credits. So basically, pretty rare scenario, right? You allow your token to be purchased, and then you purchase it from yourself. I was actually on a walk, and I was thinking to myself, did we ever test that? And indeed, we had not tested it, and so I found that it did cause a imbalance of the credits in the system, which immediately made the sum tree verification say, wait, some bad issue has arisen. We should halt the chain. And it did exactly what it should do. Like in situations that cause like a really bad thing like this, um, we try to halt the chain on purpose just to make sure that it gets resolved. Maybe this is overkill, but it's really because we never want any security type issue to ever make people lose either credits or tokens. Okay, next one was we didn't have, wait, no, we didn't have a way to get the amount of blocks proposed in epoch from a query. We actually had this information internally, and I thought I had written it 3 months ago. I couldn't find it, so I just rewrote it, and now that's built. So only two issues really discovered, and yeah. We have some quality and stability improvements, kind of like, this is what we talked about. Oops. Let's see. The first one we already said. The second one is load data contracts in their respective versions. Yeah, this was an issue. Basically, the original system data contracts could be loaded in the wrong version. So if you restarted, they could be loaded in version 9 immediately, and it could cause some issues on initialization. Fixed, no big issue, no big deal there. I think there was like a way for an action taker to do something that they were not allowed to do, and we fixed that as well. So those were the bigger issues. The smaller issues, the first one not done by us. I think it was done by Chenix's team. I won't go through these, they're not very important, but they're here if anybody wants to read them. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, so we added token state transition functionalities to the Rust SDK. We added SDK wrappers for pushing document transitions. You could do it currently with document.push, but we also wanted to make it a different type of method for pushing because it would be easier for FFI that I'm going to talk about later, which is basically converting the Rust SDK into a C SDK that then can go to an iOS SDK. Make document state transition entropy optional. Yeah, basically this is actually the only breaking change in the SDK. If you don't push the entropy yourself, the SDK will make an entropy for you. So you're allowed to trust the SDK if you want. Add data contract mismatch enum for detailed contract comparison. Yeah, very small. Okay, let's move on. Okay, yeah. So we also, between the community, mostly discovered, I mean, this list is mostly discovered by the community, but we found, I mean, there was a lot of things found as issues for Dash Evo tool, and like they're listed right here. We've been working on fixing them. There are also a lot of other issues that we've been finding internally that we're also going to go on with Paul and Lucas will talk about them. I think the next slide is Lucas, so he can start. Is this your slide, Lucas?
Yeah, so basically, multiple bug fixes done by me as I just started to contribute to the Shiva tool more this sprint. Some of them were just trivial, so no identity was defined. If no identity was loaded into the Shiva tool, and you go to tokens and try to refresh token info, it was just taking forever. There was a bigger issue with duplicate identity keys created when you have multiple wallets. I think it was mainly fixed previous sprint, but now it was merged. We got error report for Dashibo to 09 developer preview release that the configuration file wasn't generated correctly because it basically wasn't included into the binary. It's already fixed. Some bugs with processing, like with managing the wallet, were fixed, including one where if you have no core address in the wallet, and you go to the wallet tab and you try to refresh it, you will see the invalid balance basically in some cases. It's fixed also. And the two fixes that are in review, first one is that we repaint, so we refresh the whole application every 50 milliseconds, I think, but in some cases even more often. And this PR changes this behavior to be able to just refresh when needed. So when some event happens in the system, in the Dash Evo tool, it will trigger a refresh and the repaint of the window. It should improve performance. It will make the code easier to test. So it should be a good thing, and like it will help us also avoid some performance issues in future. And also some dependency updates to be able to deliver Dash Evo tool with the most recent dependencies updated. That's all when it comes to fixes, but I also did some improvements that are on the next page. Yeah, so first one was to auto detect the Dash Qt path. So we just take if it's installed, now default configuration will be initialized to use the one that is in the system path. Of course, you can change that. We also did some work to hard code the platform version, depending on the network, because old version of platform that is on mainnet doesn't support tokens. So right now we just hide the information about tokens if you connect with it to with Dash Evo tool to mainnet. During some testing, we found issues with database migrations, which are now fixed with transactions. So database embedded inside the Dash Evo tool that stores identities, keys, stuff like that. Basically has its own version right now. If update, and we have update mechanism. If update fails right now, it should get to previous version without like breaking data, and basically it should be stable state of application, right? Yeah, and last thing is to just let developers know when they do stuff that triggers like a creepy warning. So a warning about the code style and various hints about the code quality. So right now it's part of our GitHub workflow. And to merge, we need to ensure there are no warnings reported. We didn't have that before. And we had to run the tools manually to verify. And last slide is about last big thing I worked on. And the task was, can I see the next page? Yeah, so the task was to make Dash Evo to work on more reliable in various platforms. We had several approaches. The one that turned out to be the easiest one was to use Snapcraft tool to put everything into the Snapcraft package and deliver it like distribute it like that. I would say it's a proof of concept level at this point, but basically Dash Evo tool is bundled with Dash Qt into one Snapcraft package, and it only works on Intel. In theory, it should be on ARM, but not tested yet. Good news is that it works out of box on Ubuntu and clones and some other similar distributions because the Snapcraft, so Snapg daemon, which is like the root of that technology, is integral part of Ubuntu. But it can also be installed on many other distributions like Debian, CentOS, Fedora, OpenSUSE. So basically there are procedures to do that over there. And it's not a big deal. It's not so hard to achieve that. Currently there are a few limitations. First of all, we ship Dash Evo tool in that Snapcraft package together with Dash Qt, so together with Dash Core. But Dash Core still needs to sync to the network, what takes very long time if it's your first start. So the idea of letting users just download the package, start it, and have everything working without any like initialization and sync is still ahead of us. I hope to refactor a bit Dash Evo tool to maybe limit or get rid of the dependency on Dash Qt in future to get rid of that limitation. But at this point, we are here and we have that limitation. What means that this Snapcraft package is only for people who will spend time to sync. And it's not published yet, not automated on GitHub Actions, so it's more like preview level. I think when we will release Dash Evo tool, I will just build that package manually and also publish it somewhere to get some feedback if it works, and if it will be like a good popular choice with some feedback that it works, we might put some work into automating the build and publishing it and all that stuff. But basically, if someone needs support for other distributions like Ubuntu, like Debian, for example, I tested that on Debian 10. It works, so we have a solution for this use case. That's not like automated end-to-end yet. And that's it on my side. Paul?
Hello, thank you, Lukasz. Yeah, so I mainly worked on UI and UX fixes in Dash Evo tool and code cleanup and bug fixes. I think the past few days, the biggest thing I've been working on is redoing the UI to make it look more like an actual app that people will be happy to look at rather than just a boxy development tool. So I'll give a quick look at that right after I just go through these bullets. I also added a dev mode toggle. So in this, before we had it like you had to set in your .env file if you want to use dev mode, but now you can just use a toggle in the settings. I updated some of the backend tasks like token tasks and document action tasks with the new SDK methods that Sam wrote. Improved keyword search UI and improved the UI for setting token price and purchase, which required like more complex UI than we had before. You can kind of configure like setting the price, like you can set a pricing schedule, and yeah, we just have a nice UI for that now. I also redid some of the dashpay.io. Well, dashpay.io was like the first thing I ever did in Rust, and I had the whole project all in one file. So I did like a massive code cleanup and refactor, just to organize stuff into files and stuff and functions. And then while I was doing that, I also like made a bunch of improvements to the UI. It's like a lot easier to navigate now and stuff. So yeah, so here I'll share my screen and show what the Dash Evo tool looks like now. Where is it? And I guess we're gonna do a release tomorrow, like a developer preview release, because we're not launching v0.9 until tokens go to mainnet, or v2 goes to mainnet. But yeah, we'll have some bug fixes in the developer preview tomorrow, and you'll have the new UI. So this is what it looks like. Yeah, I think it looks a lot nicer than what we had before. So yeah, thank you.
Well, actually, show the document purchase stuff. I'm interested in that. Is it in this branch?
Yeah. So okay, let's see. Cat token. This one has a price set for the tokens. So like if you want to purchase some tokens, you can, and there's like a pricing schedule. So when you click this, it'll take a second because we are fetching from platform the pricing schedule, but then the purchase button shows up because it's purchasable. This one is grayed out because this person doesn't have enough credit balance to purchase one token. Yeah, so the purchase is pretty straightforward. You just fetch the token price and here, say you want to buy 10 tokens, fetch, and it's a ton of credits per token.
Why don't we put that into Dash?
Yeah, I will do that. Yeah, I will do that. It's 1,000. Okay. Let's go to set price. Yes, yes. So you can set a single price, like a fixed price. You can do tiered pricing. So say you want one token is 0.01 dash, but if somebody buys 100 tokens, you can give them a discount. So like what's a discount? 0.005. So like buying between 1 and 99 would be, you would purchase each token for 0.01, and then 100 and above is this discounted price. Yeah, and then this is just remove price. So how does it look, Sam?
A lot better. I would like to say though that the UI is not final. Like we've made a lot of progress, but we're still in the progress of doing the UI redesign, basically.
Yes, yeah. It's we just started it basically less than a week ago, so still things to iron out, right?
Yeah. But for all those doubters who said, "Oh, if you build it in Rust, it will never look okay." I mean, it looks fine. I mean, we definitely need to improve stuff still, but like, you know, it's not like as it was like a few days ago.
Yeah, I'm also not a front end developer, and I just built this like with the basic tools. So maybe somebody can make it look better.
Well, I mean, yeah, we have designs from BMD, right? So we're gonna be working with those designs. This was kind of just a first how to put it, a first step in the design redesign, basically. It was just to get it basically to a yeah, it's a first step. But nobody believe this is like the final redesign. Just one, but it's already looking a lot better.
Yeah,
Thank you, Paul.
thank you.
Yeah.
Shall we continue with the SDK work?
Well, actually, I have a quick demo to give.
Okay, please.
I mean, it's not really that much. It's just going to be like um, very quick because I would like to show one thing that I worked on as well. This is this is like probably like 2 days of the last 2 weeks, so but it kind of is cool. So you can have airdrops, right? So like this token, so the token Flurgons, I think I registered with you guys either 2 weeks or I think it was 2 weeks ago on testnet, maybe not, but um, what it has is it has a airdrop to the Evo nodes um, every epoch. So at the end of every epoch, based off how many blocks you've made, you'll get a specific amount of tokens. So you can come in here and you can, I mean, basically, Evo Node 10 has claimed this amount. Now, if you go to estimate, you can estimate how much you'll get, right? 476 is the estimate right now. So I think it's like 10,000 per epoch, but then you have to divide that per how many blocks you've proposed and how many other Evo nodes have proposed blocks. So I believe yeah, so if you did a claim here, you would get it. But actually, before we claim here, I do want to show one other thing. Let's go to a non one-time coin. That's a great coin. I also changed it so that well, this has not been pushed into the main branch, but the tokens are now correctly reflecting the decimal spaces, right? So if you put in a certain amount of decimal spaces, it correctly uses the decimal spaces that it's supposed to do. Meaning that you can have like 0.5 of a token. So yeah, so for example, I think this is the contract owner, and I think that he gets a certain amount of rewards in a logarithmic, inverted logarithmic way. So we estimate how many rewards he's going to get, and he should be getting this many rewards. And if you click on this information box, it will give you information. Let's just talk about the basic explanation right now. It'll basically tell you why you've gotten 584 tokens. So this token starts with high rewards that gradually decrease following an inverted logarithmic curve with a base amount of this many tokens. The last claim was Monday, June 9th at 7:50 a.m. So, and we are currently June 10th. So it's like almost a day, right? And so I think I did a reward every 10 minutes. And for this type of thing, you can only claim 128 intervals at a time. So you would have the total rewards would be this amount, right? And then you can even have a detailed explanation, which is like much more complicated. But you can also do a step-by-step breakdown. So like on every 10 minutes, how many rewards did you get? And then it explains like, okay, for these 10 minutes, you got this much. And it basically is for people who like, complain, why, I don't understand why I got that much. Well, you can come in here and you can completely understand, and everything is spelled out for your rewards. So if you go here, so right now it's like 6:15:39. Okay, so it should go to 6:19 and something, right? If we claim. So let's do a claim, and we claim. Takes about 10 seconds. There we go. And then we go back to one-time coin and 619, exactly what I said. I mean, the estimate plus what you currently had in your balance, and you get everything. Now, if you estimate again, oh, that's weird. Oh, that's right. Because we had 128 max intervals, right? So it had reached the maximum amount of claim intervals in a period. So you have to like, if most rewards won't happen every 10 minutes. 10 minutes is the minimum for testnet because we want to be able to test a lot. On mainnet, the minimum interval is 1 hour. And so the max you can claim on if the token was set to do 1 hour would be 128 times 1 hour, so 128 hours per claim. Now, most people are not going to issue a token that distributes every hour. They'll probably issue a token that distributes every week, right? And then you would have 128 weeks of claims possible, which would be like over 2 years, right? So you don't have to claim so often, but in this case for testing, we have it. So then it says like 61 intervals. So we're going to do another claim, confirm. There you go. It always takes 8 seconds. That's good. And yeah, so we got another some amount. I don't know how much. It was like 140. I forget. We'd have to go back to see how much we were at and how much we added. But now if we estimate again, it's 0 because you don't have anything. Last claim was at 3:30 p.m. and it is currently 3:30 p.m. UTC. And there you go. Now, if we were to do that in the one that has an airdrop where the rewards are actually divided by a group, you can see that. So it's the contract I think is 10,000 per group per hour. So when it does an estimate here, so there's something that I noticed it wasn't telling the group information in the estimate here. So it's a little bit off. So the token distributes a fixed amount of 10,000 tokens every epoch. The last claim was for epoch 7835, and you are currently in epoch 7837. The last epoch you can claim for is 7836. So like we claimed already for 7835. That one's done. And now you can claim for 7836 because you're currently in 7837 and it hasn't finished yet, right? So you can't claim for an epoch that hasn't finished. So basically you have one epoch, you have one interval of rewards, and that's 1 times 10,000. Now, that would be the total amount, and you basically get 0.476% of that amount. And that makes sense because there are about 20 Evo nodes 25 Evo nodes on the network, right? So you did about a little bit, I mean, ideally you would have done 1/25th of all blocks, but I think in this case you did a little bit more than the average, so you get a little bit more tokens during that epoch. And yeah, so the estimate, so force 76, and then it should give 119 4 no 5 119 556. So let's do that. 119 556 is what I said, right? Let's go back. 119 556. The estimate was completely correct. So actually, the estimate is getting a lot of information from platform with proofs and is trying to reconstruct the functions and like figure out exactly on the client side how much it thinks you're going to get. But it's pretty close to being right. The way that the estimate might not be right is if, for example, you ask for it and then like, you know, it switches to the next hour, so you get a little bit more than the estimate says, right? Or I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how else it could be wrong, but that's basically the demo that I wanted to share.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let me reshare. So SDK
Yeah.
work.
So there's been a lot of SDK work actually on my end in the last 2 weeks. And when I say a lot, I think it's probably over 50% of all my work, maybe up to 60% of my work has been on SDK. So, and it's been heavily helped with AI. I'm not going to take all the credit here. There have been some great AI improvements in the last few weeks, few months that have made this work insanely easier than it used to be. It's still hard because AI can't do everything, but it does make things easier than it used to be, especially on things complicated like this. So the first one is I wrote an FFI binding for the Rust SDK. What does that mean exactly? So the Rust SDK is written for Rust clients, right? But Rust can be actually compiled to C, which is for people who don't know, which is a low-level language. Actually, both Rust and C are low-level languages, but it can be exported as C if you do it in a specific way, right? So you kind of have to take your functions that you have in your Rust SDK and transform them in a middleware to make it work in C. And I did that, and it works. It's done. I mean, it hasn't been merged in yet, but yeah, I mean, currently things could run in in a C in anything that uses C. So that's working. Then on top of that, I wrote an iOS Swift wrapper for the Rust SDK for FFI, and yep. that is also pretty much. I mean, the thing is, I don't want to say it's done because it hasn't been tested, right? So the code's working, and I have an example app that I started working on to see like, hey, how are things going there? To play around with it. And then the third one is I wrote. So Premnik told me that one big so they're working on a different okay JavaScript SDK. Let's explain a little bit because it's very fragmented, and so DCG has a JavaScript SDK that doesn't work very well, and we agree. It was released as an alpha, and we're going to get around with to it, you know, basically when we get on with SDK work. Then there was a proposal from the network for AJ and some other, I think it was AJ, to make a JavaScript SDK from scratch. And there was some drama over there, and then finally it got funded. And then I think AJ is no longer working for Incubator. Then Przemnik came and started writing a JavaScript SDK using WASM as well, but also having a lot of JavaScript to make it easier for the developers. Przemnik's team understands JavaScript better than DCG, so yeah, that's going well. However, you know, one big problem of all this is that we didn't have the verify functions of like the very complex problem in all of this was that if you get a proof from the system, you say, for example, hey, give me how many cookies exist in this jar. Let's imagine in platform there's a jar object and there are cookies inside of it. And you ask how many cookies are in the jar, it will give you back that information and give you a Grove DB proof and this very like proof data in a structure and everything. Now, that was written in Rust, and there's no way to get around understanding that without, you know, Rust. So the idea was let's build a WASM binding around the JavaScript, around the Rust proof, so it can be used in JavaScript, and we can help Przemnik's team with their SDK work in their approach. So that's basically what's there, and it's been built and it's been tested, and you can, well, it's not been tested externally. It has unit tests and integration tests internally of it. And yeah, so basically it's ready. I think Przemnik's team is going to be looking at it in the next day or so or week or so, and will tell us if it indeed suits their needs. And like that, it can take the proof and transform it into data that they can later use for the JavaScript SDK. It was about 13,000 lines of code. And again, very thankful for recent developments in AI that have helped me write those quite quickly. Okay, let's move on. Oh,
Let's move on.
I was not sharing my video this entire time?
No.
Oh no! Well, here's my beautiful face one last time, and now it's
Thank
on.
you. Now let's continue with the core team. Pasta.
All right. Thanks, guys. So, extended addresses is making some solid progress. We had some important code review and a couple of things where we were working with it. But one of those PRs got merged in this last set, and We have a couple more open for review right now that are getting worked on and hopefully should get merged in sometime this week. They're kind of at the end of review. One of the performance improvements that Constantine's been working on has been merged in. So he's now got 5 of those PRs merged in, and one more is remaining. Once all of those have been merged in, I think he's going to do some more testing and get some better statistics on how that has properly or fully impacted sync speed. But we're expecting about 10% or so right now. Governance wallet via Qt, there were a couple of issues that I had to fix, and so I pushed those this morning, and so hopefully that will get merged in a day or so. Proof of service banning is kind of just stalled until we can test integration with platform, but it is done. We just haven't merged it in because we haven't been able to test it against platform as they're working on rolling out this new version for them. So that's pretty much the gist of that. A lot of the work is in extended address stuff. I've done some further work on Dash SPV stuff, but I don't really have a demo this week, but a lot of issues have been found and solved. There are a couple issues in the Rust Dash core library just related to either older blocks with older rules or newer blocks with newer rules than when it was written. There was some stuff with HPMNs that needed to get fixed, or Evo nodes, Evo node pro upserve TXs, which are pretty rare on the network, but there were a couple of those, and that was causing it issues. So I had to fix that. There are a couple issues with, I think, very old CBTXs that had to get fixed, like version 1 CBTXs, and we're on version 3 now. And there were a couple other issues with basically the rules around specific types of transactions and whatnot that Rust Dash Core didn't understand. So I've gotten those fixed in the last week or so, and the sync is looking pretty good. The SPV is close to being basically done and being able to be integrated into Dash Evo tool. There are a couple of issues right now with the sync process where um, I need to basically have better tracking of requests and what has not been fulfilled. It seems there are some times where we request blocks and we don't receive them for whatever reason. Maybe just some, maybe it was just dropped over network or whatever. And if we don't receive them for some reason, we don't try again. And that results in kind of balance calculations being wrong over time. So, couple of bugs, but for the most part, a lot of stuff has been fixed there and good progress has been done there. But not really core related, but that's some of what I've been working on. Anyway, moving on to the next slide, you can see some progress on backport stuff. Another thing, I guess. So Sam had mentioned, and actually we can move on to the next slide here. You can see in the list of merged PRs, there were 3 that are labeled backport autos. So in the past couple of weeks, or yeah, I guess past couple of weeks, um, Anthropic made released Claude 4, as well as released Claude Code to general availability. And these 3 backport PRs actually were fully done via um, a mostly automated backporting agent. And so this is probably the tool that some other people have been referring to, and it's been quite valuable. And so in the backporting scene, it basically is able to pull down the list of backports that we need done. It's able to look through them. It's able to try to merge them in. It's able to look at the conflicts. It's able to try to resolve the conflicts. It's able to run the builds and run the tests to make sure what it's doing is, correct and moving forward. And so with backporting, I have a multi-layer kind of setup, and I haven't well. There's kind of a multi-layer setup where there is one agent that does the actual backporting. It looks at the spreadsheet, well, actually, there's a manager on top of it that looks at the spreadsheet, figures out what we should try to backport. It gives that to another agent that actually tries to do the backporting, and it looks at the conflicts, it looks at some of the history, it tries to resolve it, it tries to run the tests, and it iterates until it is successful. And if it's successful, it pushes that up to a special repo. CI runs on that repo. And then later on, there is another agent that does a validation run that looks at the actual change that the backporting agent did, because sometimes it, makes mistakes or messes up or just adds too many changes. It resolves the conflict in a way that adds a couple extra new lines, and we don't really want that. So its job is to make sure, hey, was this a faithful backport? Like, did we add anything extra? Did we miss anything? So it compares the Bitcoin diff to the diff that the backporting agent made. It looks at the result of CI. It figures out if anything needs to be changed or done. If there needs to be changes, it does the changes and pushes them. And then once all of those agents did their stuff, um, I look at it once, I see, okay, CI is happy. I see, okay, the agent's happy. I compare the diffs myself real quick, and then I merge it into a branch on that separate repo. And then once we have 5 to 10 to 15 of those, we PR that into DashPay. So this has been really interesting and very, very, very novel and very cool. It can't do all of them, but it's for a long time I've had automation for doing purely trivial backports that just merge in via Git without any conflicts whatsoever. I've had a way to do that pretty automatically. But this is a very good middle ground for being able to do stuff that is not a like complete overhaul of major subsystems or something like that. But it's something where, maybe Bitcoin changed some stuff that has the term Bitcoin in it. And obviously, when we backport it, we don't keep the term Bitcoin in it per se, especially if it's user facing, that gets changed to Dash, right? And so it's able to see the actual semantic changes and apply them. Um, so that's been really interesting to work on, and hopefully in this next little bit, I'll be able to kind of get that like fully automated. Right now, I still have to like run the agents locally and just have it running in the background, and then but so that's been really cool, very interesting. So that's what those PRs were. Otherwise, you can see a couple of those, the performance improvements, some more trivial backports, the extended address changes, some backport stuff that was not the automated stuff, but definitely won't replace all of the backporting stuff, but if it can speed us up and get us extra productivity with less time, that is very cool and an exciting opportunity. But that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I think I hit everything. Hopefully next week I'll have some or in 2 weeks I'll have some Dash SPV demos to share of everything working properly, and hopefully I'll have all those bugs figured out by then. But yeah, that's about it. We can move on to mobile.
Thank you, Pasta. All right, so on Android, Eric was on vacation, so it was pretty light on the Android side. We had some UI issues with registering a user that was finished. The frequent contacts cache was an issue for heavy CoinJoin users. That actually just got fixed. And a problem showing the discount in certain scenarios with Dashbend, as well as handling the expiration of the login token. Can move on to iOS. So pretty heavy on iOS. Mostly, or a lot of things, DashPay was carryover. We had some crashes relating to contact requests, as well as some other syncing relating components, which was kind of put on pause because at least some of those issues were relating to mixing. But we're still having crashes when trying to create the username. Some memory leaks seems to be the primary cause. So that persisted and prevented us from getting a build of DashPay out for further testing. We also are preventing, at least for MVP, creating contested usernames. So it'll just be non-contested usernames. There's other changes that have to be done to support contested that we don't want to delay things on. So that was just some messaging. Another thing that took priority, we just finished it up to get a hot fix out. There were some issues sending to multi-sig wallets. That has since been fixed, and we're just getting ready to go for the Play Store. I mean the App Store review. There's also some issues with the UI on older devices, and a balance mismatch issue that was fixed. Really good progress continues on Dash Spend, saving the logos, the redemption info for the gift card to be displayed, and the back end side of purchasing. We got blocked just recently on some other stories that we're currently working on because the CTX services went down. They're doing some network changes, so hopefully we can resume that work Wednesday is what we're being told. So that's the short and skinny. I mean, as I already said, our blocking issue right now is Crashes has been trying to create the username. I mean, it's the first step in the use of DashPay. So as soon as we can get usernames up and running stable enough, we can start testing the rest of the app. So that's mobile.
Thank you very much. I see only one question here. Are we finally going to pull out of the blockages on iOS development? As in, when DashPay finally ships, have we solved the problem permanently so it doesn't happen again?
This is a hard one. We have not yet solved the problem permanently, so it doesn't happen again. And currently, while progress is being made on the iOS side, progress has been being made for a long time without the deliverable of the DashPay app, right? I'm sorry to say that, but that's just the reality. So, we are actively looking at this situation, and we are going to resolve it. Basically right now, the 2.0 app needs to, version 2.0 of platform needs to be released. We have to make sure that's stable. As soon as that's stable, well, not even as soon as that's stable, like I'm working to make sure that we get iOS out as soon as possible. And I've started that work as of 2 weeks ago. However, how things are going to go, I'm not yet sure, because I am not sure that the stuff that I am doing will work yet, right? Or I'm not sure that the stuff that the mobile team is currently working on will not work, right? We're still in kind of a limbo phase, and we'll know more in about 2 weeks from now.
Thank you very much. One more question. In the near future, we have DET in Dash Core with Snap, but in further future, Pasta is working on adding a new Rust SPV into Dash Evo tool?
Well,
Question mark.
not sure if Pasta will be the one that integrates it. Maybe he will if he wants to, but we will be having an option to use Dash SPV directly in Dash Evo tool. That will be a feature coming when we're able to do it. So basically, no need to have Dash Core there. You just use you can just, I mean, Dash Evo tool will run, and it will have its own stuff in there. It will sync blocks, it will do everything. And then we'll also probably integrate DashPay into Dash Evo tool, because why not? We have most of the work done already, so we'll probably have DashPay in there, so you can have your friend list, and then you can send to your friend list, and you can do everything in there. And eventually, we're gonna probably make it into a multi-tiered app, meaning that there's going to be like, you know, and you're going to be able to choose like if you want to see it, you want advanced options on or just basic options, right? So for basic users, they're probably not going to want to create a token, right? But so all that will be hidden. But if you go into settings, you'll be able to click to see the advanced features that allow you to do like all this extra stuff that we currently have visible, right? So it'll become a lot more user friendly as time goes on. And we built it in EGUI, so eventually maybe we can even get it into, we'll always have it as a desktop app, but maybe eventually we'll also be able to put some components of it into a web version.
All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the questions and the feedback. And hopefully we see each other in 2 weeks.